And welcome. This is day 2. So we've given our client, our active and athletic clients, a week to dial into their goals and to make some big changes. Week 2 is going to be based around what did you do? How did you do? Review and a ruler. Sums up day 2. So this module and the next module, we're going to go a little bit speedier. And that's because the 3 days are, like I said, 50% similar. And we'll highlight the key differences and the skills that you need to get, the red slides. Day 2 agenda, not the general agenda. We're going to revisit the opening conversation from day 1. We want to ask about positive changes early and notice anything different that's changed. It could be an appearance or maybe their attitude. You do want to call that stuff out. It's important. It is. We spend the next 15 minutes with a reminder of how many calories. Okay, we wanted you to eat 13,000 calories this last week. How did you do? Okay. We want to investigate a tracking method that they used. We want to recall their goals. It's important to set goals. To write them down, too, is very important. We've all heard the quote, 3% of the world's wealth is held in the hands of, or most of the world's wealth is held in the hands of 3% of people. 3% of people write everything down, including their goals. I don't know if those numbers are true. I have no clue where anyone got those numbers from, but writing your goals down gives you a visual representation, the ability to cross it off, and is very important. It's also important that you give your clients a goal. And we're going to go through a food recall. Okay. Informational phase. We're going to look at expenditure and exercise, assess motivation levels. Now we start adjusting ratios, talking about supplements and an action plan. So this is a fun. You want to open with revisiting the motives for talking to your athletes on day 1. You want to ease the environment and praise changes. In the interview phase, reminders of calories in. We want to talk about base calories, weekend calories. Begin the interview process with open-ended questions. Not one question, but try a follow-up or 2 separate questions. Okay. Talk about the perceived barriers from last time and ask what they did to overcome them. And successful changes. You're going to reweigh your client to see how much weight he or she lost in that week. If it's a body fat composition or a weight gain also. If it's a body fat composition, you don't have to give them another body fat test. Wait until the end after day 3, or if you do another set of 3 days, wait until 6. If you know that your client's been working out hard, I would say wait until at least week 3 to see a 2% drop or so. Investigate the tracking method, guys. Anything that you hear that's inconsistent, wait your turn to talk. Okay? Until the information phase. How many of your short-term goals were met? How many of them were met through overcoming obstacles and rolling with resistances? Does this help you achieve the goals you set for yourself 3 months ago? If there are successes, bring them out. Begin to chart progress. Do measurable things. Link the successes with something complementary for yourself. Do something complimentary for yourself for achieving. What did you eat yesterday? Begin with breakfast. Can you remember what you ate on Sunday if it's Tuesday? Give me an idea. Is this a typical day? These are questions you can ask during a 24-hour food recall. How was the meal plan tactic that you laid out? Does the substitution work? Do they need a substitution and guidelines? Information phase. We want to talk about calories in with their tracking. You want to go through their tracking method, see how they track, and count each meal's calories. Calculate the projected weight loss. Let them know early. Not early, but let them know if there is a gap between what they said they're going to lose and why they didn't lose. You had 13,000 calories for yourself this week. It looks like you consumed 17,000. You went up a pound when we wanted to maintain. Okay. Let's take a look and see what happens if you do this every week. Were you eating? Did you do a lot of socializing? Is that why you ate more? At this rate, you won't lose any weight for a few more months. Is that okay with you? Things like that help to develop a discrepancy in time. Exploring barriers is very important. And providing clients with an adjustment to those barriers is also very crucial. Any successes with intaking of calories? Was it easier than you thought? Good. It's because you're maintaining a higher standard for energy and you fueled your workouts better. You're going to end up feeling great. Explore workouts and calculate expenditure. How much working out did you do? Okay, you do understand that when we talked about you running for 2.5 miles. And if you walk for 2.5 miles, and it only took you a half hour, right? In that half hour, we could have run 3 miles. What happened? You're going to begin to lose less weight. I know you wanted to stay in fat burn mode, but I want you to burn more calories. Okay, let's adjust your calories. These are discussions that we can have with our clients about their expenditure and how we can use quality nutrition practice to assist that, right? I'm going to go back to the scale, break out that ruler. Motivational interview, if we're below a 7, talk about past successes. Okay? Find out what the perceived barriers are. If we're above a 7, positive narrative, recruit family members, set some new goals. Let's talk now about supplements, okay? Hydration and sleep. Very important. That's, man, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough water in your daily life, you're really going to have a hard time controlling your hunger or noticing when you are hungry and noticing when that hunger begins to affect you. In order to stay kind of in the middle, homeostasis, nice and balanced, you really, really want to be aware of your energy levels. And you're only aware when you're properly hydrated and you've had some rest, in my opinion. We'll talk about how to adjust the protein ratios and your macronutrients. Supplements are something that all athletes encounter at least once, and a lot of your active clients will take. Okay. In fact, if your clients are taking supplements, you can probably say they've traversed the planes of being a sedentary person into being an active person. That's maybe hyperbole, but it's a good way to say, okay, hey, you've definitely crossed over into being an active person if you're considering taking supplements. Reminding them that these supplements are to add to what they already do with quality eating is important, right? It's important that your clients say, hey, I need a way to get more protein because I can't possibly buy because I don't have enough money, or I can't possibly eat any more rainbow trout. I need some more supplements. Carb loading is a big one. Needing extra fiber is a big reason why people use supplements. And energy depletion. Energy depletion is a big reason that people will partake in supplements. Oh, and another one, multivitamins. Okay. Sport supplements include multivitamins. Multivitamins can be widely used amongst people of all levels. The most popular sports supplements. Number one, guys, casein. This is the stuff that's slow release. We probably get about 20 grams per serving all time. Slow release casein. That's, of course, the anathema to whey, which is supposedly quick release, which its absorption or release into your body is in 90 minutes. So you take the casein before you go to bed and the whey in the morning in order to absorb it quicker. Look, I'm not going to say which one absorbs better or faster. I think if you have a competition coming up, you definitely stick to slow when you go to bed, quick when you're in the morning. But honestly, if you're taking this after or before exercise, if you actually need to because you can't eat enough protein, you're really splitting hairs with when you want the protein to be released in your body and you're not bodybuilding. It doesn't matter a whole lot, okay? It's from animal products mostly, right? There's this new stuff that's bone broth. It's got 30, I think, grams, which is the most I've ever seen. 0 sugar. It's 100 calories, right? Rice protein, soy, hemp, and pea. Pea has the most out of the plants. Sometimes they blend all these together. With the exception of like soy, they'll blend rice, hemp, and pea together maybe. Soy has a lot of protein in it. Most of them will be about 15 grams. Basically, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you take these. If you don't mind, you take these because these have more protein in them. But by neglecting to talk about supplementation, especially protein supplements, we ignore a huge contingent of people that want to eat and get stronger and supplement. And that, to me, is we're not doing anyone justice by ignoring that. So let's get into some fun stuff, namely supplements. It's important to know the background of some of the most popular sports supplements, nutrition supplements that people do buy. There's a gigantic multi-million-dollar industry built around these supplements, and they're marketed directly towards your athletic clients and you as fitness professionals. All of us get involved either through diffusion, advice, with considering these supplements. And so skipping them and not talking about them individually, you do yourself a disservice. And quality coaches will definitely know how to implement or direct away from supplements by name. The most popular branched chain amino acids, these things have kind of been popularized more in the last few years because in concert with a carb restrictive diet, these things have more of a function. And that function is to supply your body with glucose, gluconeogenesis, when all your glycogen is burned up. There's no more glucose in your body. Blood sugar is way down. Using some of these, which are glucogenic from glucose, ketones, that can be turned into glucose or from a ketone, or either these 3 amino acids. You're supposed to sustain energy levels through a very hard workout. So people will drink BCAAs in a drink, or they'll take them as pills before, more than likely during, right? Because we're burning glycogen, or after. Creatine, probably the most effective ergogenic, energy creating supplement. And part of it is there's creatine in your body right now, unless you did a max deadlift before sitting down and listening, right? There's creatine in our muscles now. Supplements will load a serving size of about 5 grams. There's a loading phase associated with it. And it's naturally occurring in a lot of meats, more so in the raw form of meat. But as a supplement, it's advised that you load up on it for 2 or 3 days, and great effects, especially with submax lifting. Extra creatine really adds benefits to your workouts when you're looking for muscular gains and short burst gains, 3 rep maxes, short sprints, sprint runs, intervals, high intense intervals. Very effective. Pre-workout. I always think of Gatorade when they made their G series a while ago. I don't think they still have it. G1 was essentially a pre-workout. It had a lot of sugar in it, right? A lot. It was probably like 20 to 40 grams, and most of that was just simple sugars. And that's supposed to facilitate glucose being burned for energy during exercise. So we want to prime the pump, that old phrase that says you need glucose to run through anaerobic glycolysis, then through the Krebs cycle later on. And this helps to make sure your body is at an elevated state of blood sugar so that your blood sugars don't get depleted during exercise. And it sometimes, in the case of other pre-workouts, will contain about 2 grams of creatine. Everybody probably has, as an adult, taken in some caffeine, tea, or coffee, energy drinks, those little 4-hour energy shot things. Yuck. Stimulants are, caffeine's a stimulant, basically blocks fatigue because it down-regulates your feedback loops, and during exercise can make you feel like you're not getting tired. There's a bunch of reasons why you shouldn't drink too much caffeine. Part of the G series was regular G2, which was just regular Gatorade, and then they called G3. It was post-workout, and it had more complex carbs. And this idea that any post-workout is supposed to facilitate glycogenesis, making of glycogen, which you burned, doing a 5-set 4-rep push press, you've blown out all your muscle glycogen in your upper body. So at the end of the workout, we want to start giving our body what it needs to rebuild those glycogens. And in theory, if they're complex when they go in, maybe they'll stay that way when they get into your muscle. That's the theory behind post-workout. And a lot of this stuff will also contain some protein, as did that G3 that was on the market. Omega-3 fatty acids, there are different numbers of, there's omega-6s and 9s, and that just has to do with the structure. It has a lot of benefits, right, including insulin sensitivity for mobilization of fat, which then should be used for exercise. We can get this in our diet, of course, from fish and things, with the oily skin, MCT oils, or coconut oils high in MCTs. Again, because these guys are medium chain, the theory is that they're more mobile in your body, and as such are more readily used for energy and supply a great amount of energy per use because it is fat, and can be a good buffer when you do fasted anything, should you decide to try that. People will take MCT oil in their coffee, in their smoothies, or coconut oil, and that's why, because it is supposed to give you this boost of energy and be a natural kind of buffer for energy after your blood sugar shot and before you start using during especially fasted or anaerobic work. Green tea might assist in fat loss. We'll talk a lot about green tea. Amino acid complex will contain all of the amino acids. And the idea is, okay, instead of taking a protein, I just take amino acids, the building blocks of a protein. So my body, instead of unfolding and breaking down this long protein, it gets the pieces already. And that can assist in muscle building and be directed just for that. So people will take amino acids. Glutamine is probably the most popular. People will take their glutamine, which will help your body recycle lactic acid and turn it back into pyruvate. So your body can generate more energy, more ATP from that pyruvate. As far as branch chains go, glutamine is also supplemented heavily with branch chain amino acids, but probably the most important sports supplement amino is glutamine. Glutamine. And last, which one of these things is not like the others? Which one of these things doesn't belong? Multivitamins and multiminerals, because a lot of people take these, whether they exercise or not. Really, we want to try to get a full eating profile in such that we can get most of our vitamins and our minerals from our food. Not to mention the bioavailability and absorption of various gummies and pills of multivitamins are widely being kind of downplayed as useful because our body doesn't like to absorb all of the vitamins at once or can't. So these have kind of dipped in popularity, but people still take them. And if you're deficient in some of these guys, a lot of people deficient in more so in iron and folate, for example, or vitamin D, this can help curate that or overcome that deficiency. But we still always want to eat a complete meal, right? Remember, guys, if you don't get hydrated, you can get yourself a digital water bottle. And all this does is it reminds the owner of the bottle to drink throughout the day. 15.5 cups for men, about 11 for most women. I don't know why they're so different, but that's the standard. Constantly drink water when it's hot out, when you're exercising very hard. These percentages are associated with fatigue and dizziness. Now, at 3% dehydration, it impairs your cognition. Okay, a lot of people go through the days without drinking water, and then those same people will go to the gym when they're done working out and forget to drink water. And this is messing with your cognition, your ability to choose which foods you want to eat. Not only that, but dehydration sometimes. People eat when they're dehydrated. So stay hydrated and know the difference between what your body craves. And sleep deprivation is huge. Okay? It's said to affect your weight. I think it mainly affects your hunger. Okay? It tends to lower your ghrelin or your hunger and increase your leptin, interestingly enough. Right? It definitely leads to a poorer food choice and causes you to want to get energy fast, which means eating sugary foods, in my opinion. Okay? And that also reduces your nutrition awareness. We had this slide way back in module, I believe, 2. So if we are told, someone gives us some food plan and we calculate how many of the foods are on there, and you look at their Fitbit and it's like, we notice that we're at 11% proteins, we are going to add in food choices. The addition of egg whites in the morning would be a food choice. The addition of a whole grain rich cereal in the morning, maybe switching from one type of milk to an almond milk that has more protein in it in the morning is another option. By giving these people 3 different options, your clients are going to have a better idea that how to get more protein. And now we can go on down the list and notice that, okay, we added in some more protein. We're going to remove the toast with butter from your diet. And I know that was only once, but let's get rid of it. And that will lower this percentage down, because we know that butter is 100 calories, right? And so that's something like 9-10 grams. So we can reduce that by 9 grams, and if that's 100 calories, that's going to be less of a percentage of a 2,000 calorie diet. And by doing those things, we can skew and create a target. We're going to set a target ratio. I want you to eat 30% and start there. Continue talking about the ABCs. Talk about countering negativity this week. Countering negativity is huge. It is, instead of admitting to yourself that you can't do something, it's instead saying, yeah, I can do something. Instead of endorsing defeatist statements like, there's no way I'm going to get back on track, it's, okay, but I need to be able to try. And one way I can try is to energize myself better. It isn't about having a negative thought and feeling bad that you have one. It's about accepting it as a state of mind and doing something about it. Social support is huge. It's one of the biggest determining factors in a happy and productive person. Okay? The other one, again, is knowing that your behaviors matter. Social support is also very high up there. And remember, how did you feel after you changed? Good or bad? I always find that our clients usually feel better after they changed. If they didn't feel any different, get them to dial in and feel differently by changing something. Here's the action plan for day 2.